screen. So my screen is available to you or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So लास्ट क्लास में हम लोगों
Yes,
ने
sir.
मल्टी कोलिनियरिटी देखा था. फाइन. सो व्हाट इज दिस मल्टी कोलिनियरिटी? सो दिस मल्टी कोलिनियरिटी एग्जिस्ट व्हेन यू आर having two or more regressor variable or observations are independent on each other. So what are the effects of this multicollinearity? It suggests that you are having some regressor variables or some attributes that are being available, and these attributes are globally significant. It means that we are having some good f test available for all those things. Then but when we are checking the presence of all those variables in the presence of another, so those presence are not much significant in the presence of another attribute. So it assumes that or we can say that there exists some multicollinearity in our data. So for this multicollinearity, what is the problem? And the problem is that what we assume that our data is mm, we suppose that our data, our expectation is that our data or some r parameters comes with the positive sign, and actually when multicollinearity exists, you'll get a negative sign for that particular parameter, that is our beta. Then another problem is that you are having very high variance and the covariance that is being available for your estimated beta. So you cannot judge all those things. Or when we are going for this correlation matrix, so their correlation coefficient, that was R in case of two correlation, and this is capital R when we are going for multiple data. So your this correlation becomes 1, and thus we are having variance that tends to infinity, because this correlation comes down to your denominator, and when your denominator is 1 minus 1, or when it says that your correlation coefficient tends to 1, it means that you are getting infinity over there. So this is how we can check. We are having different problems associated with multicollinearity, and we are looking some different techniques how we can check our multicollinearity. If a single data is being available, a single or linear dependence between two variable exists, then we can check our correlation matrix and we'll check different values. But in case when we are having multiple regressor variables are available, and these are multiple, and we are having dependence on the multiple regressor variable, that is our observations. So in case of this, we can check them by our eigenvalues and then eigenvector. So we'll identify this k value. So we are having this k values are available. So if this lambda max by lambda min, this is my maximum value of my eigenvectors upon the minimum value of my eigenvector. So I will check the values of this ratio. So if ratio is below 100, we can say that we don't have some multicollinearity available in our data. Then if it lies between 100 to 1000, we can say that we are having some mild effect of this multicollinearity, or we can say that we are suffering with the asymptotic uh, COVID, and we are having some this k is greater than 1000, then we can say that we are in severe problem with the multicollinearity. So now we are checking again by particular value. So let's say I am checking particular attribute. So how we can check the particular attribute? Instead of replacing this lambda mean, instead of having this lambda mean, we can go for particular uh, attribute over here. So let's say for I am going for jth column or jth column or jth attribute. So we'll check it by lambda j. So it signifies the value uh, eigenvalues associated with your jth attribute or jth column. So again we check all these values by in this table. So if there exists, if its value is greater than 1000, so we can say that there is a strong correlation, or we can say that multicollinearity available. So let's calculate. So you are comfortable with how to calculate this eigenvalues and eigenvectors. So I calculated all those eigenvectors available. So this is my eigenvalues. Let's say I am having 6 attributes. So हमने लास्ट एग्जांपल में देखा था हमारे पास x1 to x6 6 columns available थे. So let's say this is lambda 1 is associated with your column 1. So you get the eigenvalues 2.448, then lambda 2, lambda 3, lambda 4 and lambda 6. While observing this, we can say that this lambda 1 is the lambda maximum and this lambda 6 is our lambda minimum. So again we are having only a single smallest eigenvalue, so we can say that it might be only one linear dependence. If let's say lambda 5 again, it's again let's say 0.00123, so it is again closer to, if it is closer to 0, then we can say that we are having multiple linear dependence in between our data. So we'll check our k. So this is lambda max by lambda min, so this is equals to 22,188.11, so this is greater than 1000, so we can say that we are having a multiple collinearity. Now again we are checking for particular instances that if there multicollinearity exists between all those data. So let's check. So again this is k1 is equals to 2.488 by this is lambda max, so lambda max is 2.448 upon lambda 1, so this is again lambda 1, so this is 2.428, so this is my value, so this is equals to 1, so no collinearity. Again k2, so this is lambda max by this is lambda 2, again this is k3, this is k4, this is k5, this is k5 and this is k6. So यहाँ k6 दिख नहीं रहा होगा, so this is k6 is again our 2188.11. So we are having only one value which is greater than 1000, so we can say that this k6 or this sixth column may have some linear independence, so linear dependence, and only one linear dependence is associated available in the multicollinearity. So in addition to that eigenvalues, we can add some eigenvectors to check whether the linear dependence exists in our data or not. So again we'll check our correlation matrix. So this is x transpose x. Again when we are calculating our estimated parameters, right, say beta, we'll calculate its inverse over there. So we are checking only the correlation matrix, and I like to decompose this x transpose x into some form. Let's say this is t dt, where d is my diagonal matrix. So what it contains? It contains your lambda 1 to lambda k minus 1. So we are having different lambda values available. So this is how we can say that this matrix is represented as as some t matrix or some t matrix. So this t matrix is order of k minus 1 into k minus 1, then so this is t k minus 1 into k minus 1 matrix into some again k minus 1 into k minus 1 matrix available. So this is my k minus 1 into k minus 1 matrix which have diagonal elements. So these diagonal elements are its lambda values or eigenvalues, and the remaining non-diagonal elements are usually considered as 0. Again this is t. So this is how we can decompose our data, our x transpose x, into our data. So how I calculate my t? So t is just an let's say this is t. So t can be represented as a t1, t2, t3, t4 up to tk minus 1. So these are, t1 is again my vector, again t2 is again my vector, or we can say that t1 is our column, t2 is again column, tk minus 1 is our column. So how can I write t1? So t1 is just an a1, a2 up to ak minus 1. So we can say that it contains a1, then a2, then ak minus 1. Again for t2 we are having a21, a12, a22 up to ak minus 1, a2k minus 1. Then we are having some this diagonal element available. So we are having matrix lambda 1 0 0 0 0 up to k minus 1, then 0 lambda 2 up to then 0 0 up to k minus 1 values. Then we are having 0 0, then lambda 3 again 0 up to k minus 1 values. So again, so this is how we can decompose our data into different forms, and this is most important thing if you are going for this decomposition, because we'll check principal component analysis and discriminant analysis, or we can go for this cluster analysis. So what we like to do is we like to decompose this matrix into different forms so that we can get a different dimensions that are being available. Fine. So are you comfortable at this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Till now, any problem apart from Aditya Maltare?
Sir,
Okay. Yeah.
sir, ये T क्या है?
T is just a decomposition of our correlation matrix. So I am just decomposing my matrix into some form. Let's say T, D, T. So D is assumed to be my diagonal matrix. So we have calculated this lambda 1 to lambda k minus 1. These are the diagonal values. So after separating out these diagonal values, we can have some values, some vector, some matrix available. This is T matrix available and T matrix available. So any multiplication of anything, like we are having a matrix, this is 0, so lambda 1 0 0 0, then 0 lambda 2 up to k minus 1 वैल्यू. सो ये मैट्रिक्स है और इस मैट्रिक्स के बाद हमारे पास जो डिकम्पोजिशन के बाद जो ये मैट्रिक्स बचता है, दिस इज माय टी मैट्रिक्स. सो वी आर व्हाट इज दिस टी मैट्रिक्स? तो this T matrix are usually are eigenvectors associated with this lambda 1. So this T contains your eigenvectors and these lambda 1s are your eigenvalues. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. Yeah.
सर ये ऊपर आप लोग कैलकुलेट करा था ना वो लेमडा वाला ऊपर, ये तो सर इनमें सारी वैल्यू को कंपेयर करा जो नीचे.
I am just checking whether a single dependencies exist or multiple linear dependency is existing our data. अगर कुछ वैल्यू सिर्फ एक वैल्यू हमारे पास ज़्यादा जा रही है, so we can say that only a single variable is dependent on multiple variables.
Okay, sir.
So what we are trying to do is that we are decomposing our correlation matrix into a matrix of your eigenvectors as well as eigenvector, then eigenvalues, then eigenvectors. So this is how we can decompose our data. So usually your eigenvalues and eigenvectors are very much important when you are going from this statistics and machine learning. So if you are not comfortable, again take a quick review for this eigenvectors and eigenvalues, because we'll use a lot in our syllabus, this eigenvalues. Okay, fine. So again, if we are having the eigenvalues lambda I, let's say lambda I is just close to 0, then the elements associated with the eigenvectors Ti describes the nature of your linear independence. So we are checking whether the linear dependencies exist between our data and so on. So when we are saying that lambda I, or this my eigenvalue for a particular attribute is close to 0, then we are saying that the elements of associated eigenvector. So let's say I am considering, let's say lambda 6. So the associated eigenvectors is just say T6. So this is 0.44. I had calculated this. So this is minus 0.447, minus 0.421, minus 0.541. So all these eigenvectors describes your nature of linear dependence. So let's say this is my smallest eigenvector. I am calculating for this lambda 6. Why? I'm just have a hint that this k6 is just greater than 1000. So I'm again going from this lambda 6 value. So when we are having this value, so we'll calculate this by, so this is my lambda x. So sorry, this is my eigenvector. So this is 0.447 into x1, again minus 421 into x2, again this is minus 0.4541 into x3. So again this is combination. So this combination with my value. So this is again मेरे पास अगर यहाँ पे एक vector होता है, how I can write? So it is not possible. So let's say I am multiplying this T6 with my data. So this is x1 into 0.447, then x2 into 0.421, then x3 into 0.4541, then we are having 0.573 into x5, then 0.06006 with x5, and 0.002 with x6. So I am equating this equation to this is equals to 0. Now checking this value. So This is sufficiently large, again this is insufficiently large, this is again sufficiently large, again this is 0.513 sufficiently large. But look at this value, this 0.006 and 0.002, these are very much close to your zero. So how, what can I do is that I can neglect all these values. So because these are very small, so I'm removing from my equation because it doesn't make any significant changes in my equation. This is 0.006 into 1, so it is just 0.06. And let's say we are considering the values up to 2 level of precision, so these are again very small values. So I can write this, my x1 is equals to, so I'm having the equation like say minus 0.447 x1 minus 0.421 x2 minus 0.4541 x3 and minus 513 x4 is equals to 0. Now again I am taking out these values and dividing this value with all these values, so I'll get x1 equals to minus 9.41 x2 minus 1.21 x3 and minus 128 into x4. So we can say that there exists a relationship between this equation, and by calculating this equation we can say that there exists a linear dependence. So you are having a relation that say x1 is equals to something into x2 and something into x3 and something into x4. So we can say that there exists some linear relationship between our data with associated with this lambda 6. So we can say that this x1 is dependent on x2, x3 and x4. So this is how we calculated that this x1 is dependent on your x2, x3 and x4. So it is making, this x1 is making problem in our data. टिल नाउ हमने क्या करा था, हमने सिर्फ आइडेंटिफाई करा था कि मल्टीकोलिनियरिटी एग्जिस्ट हो रही है. नाउ व्हेन वी हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई ऑल दोस वैल्यूज, सो वी हैव टू गो फॉर दिस eigenvector and eigenvalues decomposition. So we'll get which attribute is creating problem in your data. Now again another technique which says how to detect your multicollinearity. So
सर
yeah, बोलो.
सर मतलब अगर हमें मल्टीकोलिनियरिटी प्रूफ करना है तो बस हमें उसमें मतलब लीनियर डिपेंडेंसी प्रूफ करना है.
या वन एक एट्रीब्यूट पे या मल्टीपल एट्रीब्यूट्स पे डिपेंड कर रहा है. सो वी कैन से दैट वी आर हैविंग सम मल्टीकोलिनिटी. लेट्स से अगेन आई एम जस्ट टेकिंग माय एग्जांपल इन द माय first slide. Let's say this is my example. So this x3 is just depend on मैंने क्या निकाला था, this x1 is just equals to your x2 plus x3 by 2. So we can say that this x1 is dependent on this x2 and x3. So we can say that we are having multicollinearity available in our data. Fine.
यस सर.
So
सर तो हम एक जैसा हमने इसमें x1 को प्रूफ करा कि वो डिपेंड करता है x2 x3 पे, तो सर
हमने
वो
प्रूव नहीं करा, हमने आइडेंटिफाई करा.
यस सर. तो सर उससे वो भी शो होता है कि सर x2 या x3 पे हम अगर इक्वेशन इंटरचेंज करेंगे तो वो भी एक दूसरे पर डिपेंडेंट है.
मतलब अभी हमने आइडेंटिफाई करा है कि हमारे पास मोटे मोटे तौर पे ये सारे जो एट्रीब्यूट्स हैं कहीं ना कहीं कोई ना कोई डिपेंडेंट हो रहा है. तो हमको कोई ना कोई एक, इस इक्वेशन से हम एक वैल्यू हटा देते हैं तो हमारे पास लीनियर डिपेंडेंस हट जाएगा. कोई भी एक वेरिएबल हटा देते हैं. जैसे मैंने उस एग्जांपल में बताया था, जैसे x1, x2, x3, इसमें से कोई भी एक हटा दूंगा मैं तो मेरे पास लीनियर इंडिपेंडेंस हट जाएगा. सो व्हाट इज दिस टेक्निक, वी आर गोइंग फॉर फीचर सिलेक्शन. तो हम जब मशीन लर्निंग पे काम करेंगे तो हमारे पास ये मल्टीकोलिनियरिटी आती है, तो हम वहाँ पर फीचर सिलेक्शन पे काम करते हैं. तो फीचर सिलेक्शन क्या करता है कि इररिलेवेंट जो हमारे पास एट्रीब्यूट्स होते हैं उन इररिलेवेंट एट्रीब्यूट्स को हटा देंगे. हम जाएंगे नेक्स्ट 2 या 3 चैप्टर्स में हम देखेंगे वो फीचर सिलेक्शन एंड डिफरेंट टेक्निक्स दैट आर बीइंग अवेलेबल. फाइन.
यस सर.
Okay, so another technique is to detect our multicollinearity is that a variance inflation factor. So we are again having some factors available. So पहले हमने K factor देखा था, now we are going from this variance inflation factor. So हमको ये चेक नहीं करना है, अगर एग्जाम में अगर आता भी है कि इसको कैसे प्रूव करना है, बट हम आपको ये एग्जांपल्स आने चाहिए. अगर मैंने आपको कुछ डेटा दे दिया है तो आप उस डेटा पे आप आउटपुट कैलकुलेट करके बता दो कि या दिस मल्टीकोलिनिटी एग्जिस्ट इन योर डेटा और नॉट. फाइन. So again we are starting with our variance. So the variance of our estimated parameter beta is just equals to your sigma square, this is variance, sigma square into the inverse of your correlation matrix. So the if I am going for the particular ith value, so I will calculate the ith value from your correlation matrix. So this is just equal to sigma square upon 1 minus ri square. So what is this ri square? This ri square is just your coefficient of multiple determination that we had calculated in the previous class. Fine. So we are having different cases available. If your xi is nearly orthogonal with the remaining regressor, so just when I'm saying this is orthogonal, it means that it is just creating a 90-degree angle with your remaining regressor variables. Fine. So you are comfortable the orthogonal matrix or orthogonal attributes of your linear algebra. So if xi
पता चलेगा कि ये ऑर्थोगोनल है, मतलब कि आप बोल रहे 90 डिग्री पर होना चाहिए, तो फिर वो कैसे पता चलेगा कि मतलब कि कुछ ग्राफ बनाएंगे उससे पता चलेगा या कि कैसे पता चलेगा?
हम कैलकुलेट करेंगे. वेट, आई एम जस्ट सेइंग इफ xi is orthogonal, let's say if xi is orthogonal with the remaining regressor, then this 1 minus ri square, so is 1 minus ri square is very small because correlation is 0. When we are saying that these are orthogonal, when these are orthogonal, it means that they don't have any correlation, because let's say we are having x axis and we are having y axis. So this x axis and the y axis are orthogonal to each other, they are making 90-degree angle. So when I'm increasing the value of x axis, the value of y doesn't changes, so it means that they don't have any correlation exists in between this x and y axis. Fine. So similar case for our different attributes. So let's say one attribute is orthogonal to the remaining attributes. So what is the correlation coefficient of this value? Is this correlation coefficient value is 0 or it tends to 0. When it is 0 or it is tending to 0, it means that the value of this particular term is going towards 1 or going towards unity. So we can say that our xi value is our particular xi is orthogonal to our remaining regressor variables. Is it fine? जिसका क्वेश्चन था अभी आप लोगों का, yeah. So if this values moving towards your infinity, then moving towards unity, it means that these are orthogonal. Now if this term moves toward infinity, then we can say that there exists a linear relationship or linear dependence between your xi with another attributes. So you are having different techniques that are being available. So again, what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to check this variance inflation factor. So I calculate the variance inflation factor. So this is 1 upon 1 minus ri square is our variance inflation factor. So if we are having the higher value, let's say variance inflation factor is greater than 5, so we can say that we are having a possible multicollinearity problem exists in your data. And if your variation inflation factor is greater than or equals to 10, then it says that you are having at most certainty that multicollinearity will possible. So this if value is greater than 10, you can say with 100% confidence that your multicollinearity exists in your data or not. So either you can go for matrix decomposition into eigenvector and eigenvalues, or you can either go for this correlation matrix and you can calculate the correlation coefficient of this ri square, and you can check each xi with your different data where matrix inflation factor available for particular xi, it means that it is linearly dependent on other data, or if it is less than 5 and so on. Again, yeah, any questions till now?
No, sir.
Okay, fine.
Variance inflation factor क्या था?
Variation inflation, yeah, my variance inflation factor is again, so when we are calculating this 1 minus ri square, हमने जो last class में भी दिखाया था, this is variance of particular beta or particular estimated parameter. So this is my variance of particular parameter. So ये linearly depend किस पे हो रहा है? This is sigma square is again my constant value, so this is totally dependent on 1 minus ri square. So when this ri moves toward 0, it means that you are having no correlation, or you can say that you are having orthogonal attributes or orthogonal vectors are available. So this your different columns are orthogonal to each other, and then we have no collinearity exists in our data. And if this Ri or this correlation coefficient tends to 1, it means that you are having a strong correlation between your two different uh, attributes, and thus we can say that yeah, there exists an correlative. So this 1 minus 1 upon 1 minus Ri square is supposed to be your variance inflation factor, and if this factor is greater than 5, then we can say that we are having certain probability that yeah, multicollinearity exists. And if it is greater than 10 or equals to 10, then you are 100, you can say that you are 100% sure that correlation, sorry, multicollinearity is exactly available in your data. Fine. Okay, thank you. Now so a question arises that which technique is better. So again I am saying that the eigenvector technique is better because it indicates which one are independent. So when we are going for the correlation factor, it says that yes, you are having some certain probability that you are having multicollinearity, but when we are going for this eigenvector technique, it means that you can calculate that particular item which is dependent on another item. Fine. So this is just the red items are just important things highlighted over there. Now dealing with our multicollinearity, how to deal if the multicollinearity is exist in our data. So how we can avoid this multicollinearity, or usually multicollinearity exists in our data, so we have to avoid this multicollinearity, so we have to deal all this multicollinearity. So first technique is to collect the additional data. So let's say we are having n numbers of instances are available for our data. So what we can do is that we can add some rows more to your data, so that we can have a different relationship exist in your data. So you can add some more instances in your data. So this is a one way, but this is not a great way. But yeah, we can say that we can add certain data to our items. So what is the con associated with this data is that in many cases it is usually not feasible, or it is not useful in many practice. So I can we cannot go for this certain particular things. If you are having a smaller data, then you can add some more data to avoid multicollinearity. But if you are having lots of data, let's say you are having 10,000 or 1 lakh rows are available, and now you can add 100 rows, so it doesn't make any great changes to your particular equation of line, so it doesn't make sense for the large values of data. So if you are having small data, then you can go for this particular technique. Now the second technique associate available is the remove the regressor variable from model. So हमने जो calculate करा था, let's say x1 is equals to x2 plus x3 by 2. So we can remove this x1 from our data. Let's say when we calculated this eigenvector technique, so this x1 is dependent on your x2 and x3. So we can remove this x1 from our data. So we can say that yeah, multicollinearity is being removed from our data, because this x1 is representing your redundancy in your data. So we can pick any one, either we can take yeah x2 plus x3, or we can take x1 alone. So that totally depends on you, so which you are taking. Either you can take x2 or x3, or you can go for x1. Now again, this technique is having some cons associated when we are removing this x1, or when we are removing this x2 or x3. So we are eliminating some regressor variable, so it may damage your predictive power of your particular model. But yeah, it is comfortable that if you are predicting power of your particular model is 96%, and if I can remove a particular x2 and x3, then I am just going with x1. If you are having predictive power, let's say 93 or 94%, so it is good. You are moving right from 96 to 94, it doesn't make some changes, so then it is good. But if it is making a high change, then this is again an problematic for us because we are going from information loss. Now the third technique is that collapse the variables. Let's say we are having x1 plus x2 and x3 that are dependent on each other. So what we can do is that we can merge all those items and make an composite single variable available. So this is how we can remove multicollinearity. But in practice, what we are trying to achieve is that we will go for the second technique, that is remove the regressor variable from the model. So this is being more practical for us. Fine.
सर
Yeah.
सर कंबाइन कैसे कर सकते हैं वेरिएबल्स को?
कंबाइन ऐसे कर सकते हैं कि उन तीनों की वैल्यूज आप जोड़ लो. इट डिपेंड्स ऑन योर डेटा कि हमारे पास क्या डेटा अवेलेबल है, उस पर्टिकुलर सिनारियो पर हम चेक कर सकते हैं. ये सिनारियो पे डिपेंड करता है कि हम कैसे कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं. मैं पर्टिकुलर सिनारियो पे नहीं कह सकता. लेट्स से I am having 3 attributes, let's say Abhishek, Singh and Rathore. So we are having 3 attributes and again my name is Abhishek Singh Rathore. So what can I do is that I can merge all those into a single item and I will say this is the value, or we can add all those items, or we can aggregate all those items, or we are having different aggregation functions that are being available. Either we'll take a maximum value or we can take the minimum value, or either we can take average value, or either we can take the we can take the sum of all those values. So this is how we can collapse our variables. So this depends solely on your experience and your intelligence. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
So the next topic or in our syllabus is आपको syllabus दिख रहा है ना? So this is a standard multiple regression model and the emphasis on the detection of a multicollinearity. Then we'll go for outliers and the non-normality and autocorrelation. Then we'll go for this validation of our model assumptions. So I'll start with let me check my so I'm starting with this model adequacy techniques. Just a minute, it is just loading. So so we'll start with the outlier detection and model adequacy techniques. So I'm not going on particular specific topic. All these techniques will be covered in the model adequacy technique. Then we'll go for some residual plots and we'll identify different residual plots that are being available, and then we go for some influential observation and so on. So we'll start with our model adequacy setting. So we assume so the one of the topic is that validation of our model assumption. So I'll start with all those things. So this is model adequacy checking. So we'll started with some assumption that we are having error that is having zero mean, and we are having some constant variance available. So this is zero mean and constant variance, and we say that our columns are usually independent of each other and these are normally distributed. So if these are not independent of each other, so we had removed all those items using identifying multicollinearity, and then we had removed all those multicollinearity available. Now when we are having this simple regression line, so this is y is equals to beta naught plus beta 1 x1 plus some randomly occurred error that is zero mean and constant variance. Then when we are going for this multiple linear regression, that is we are having yi is equals to beta naught plus beta 1 x1 plus up to where beta k minus 1 xi k minus 1. So this is just a difference between your simple regression model and multiple regression model. So in case of simple regression model, you are having a single attribute available here, and in case of multiple regression model, you can have additional attributes available up to k minus 1. Then we are having some errors associated with each other. So our assumption started right from this, that this particular error, so this expectation of particular error, or we can say that mean of this error is just equals to 0, and we are having some constant variance available here. So this is my constant variance of error, and this is usually unknown. Then again we are saying that these errors are usually independent on each other, and errors are supposed to be independent, or we can say that these are uncorrelated. So we can say that these errors are independent, identically distributed with some normal distribution with zero mean and constant variance of sigma square. Now we'll check that our model assumptions are correct or not. So we'll start by our residuals. So what are our residuals? So our residuals are just EI is equals to YI minus estimated YI. So these are our regular residuals, and it measures your part of the variability which is not explained by your model. Fine. So we assume that each EIs or each errors for particular instance, the ith instance, are independent, but we can't say that our residuals are independent, because these n residuals have n minus k degree of freedom. So we had calculated this n minus k degree of freedom in our ANOVA table. So EIs are supposed to be independent, but these residuals are not independent of each other, because these are having n minus k degree of freedom. Because let's say we had calculated that this sum of all residuals is equals to 0. So we are having n minus 1 degree of freedom. Again, we are having EI into XI is equals to 0. So we are having n minus 2 degree of freedom when we are having two unknown parameters, that is beta naught and beta 1. So if we are having k number of unknown parameters, right, from beta naught to k minus 1, beta k minus 1, so we can say that our residuals are having k minus degree of freedom. So if you are not comfortable, then you can check in our ANOVA table. We had calculated in ANOVA table. Now, so it is very convenient for us to think that the residuals as an observed value of error. So these are residuals are considered to be the observed value, and we can plot all those residuals in very effective way. So let's say we'll plot all those residuals. So let's say we'll start with our outliers and non-normality and abnormalities and our data. Let's say दिस डायग्राम इज जस्ट कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, क्योंकि मैंने थोड़ा सा काम चोरी करने के लिए 2-3 डायग्राम्स इसी में बना लिए थे. सो विल स्टार्ट. Let's say this is my data, this dots are my data available. So this is my data actually is being available. Again, this data right from this A and this B. So consider that either this A is exist in your data or this B is exist in your data. Don't consider the particular A exist in your data or this particular B is exist in your data. Consider a normal case that you are having a particular data. Let's say we will start with, let's say we don't have any A or we don't have any B in our data. So our data is just like these points available. Fine. So these are my actual points. So what is my fitted line? So this blue line is my fitted line that is being available for us. Now suddenly, if your A exists in your data, so my fitted line converts right from this blue line to this my red line. Fine. So this is how your some outliers affect your fitted line. Again, let's say I am having this B available over here. So if this A is not exist, only B is exist in your data. So your fitted line, that is true fitted line, convert to your this fitted line. So are you able to understand what is the effect of this A and the effect of B on your data? मैंने लिखा भी A और B दोनों साथ में नहीं, अलग अलग एग्जांपल हैं. So this is my fitted line because of B. So this is my fitted line because of B, and this is my fitted line because of this is fitted line because of B, and this is my fitted line because of A. So are you comfortable to understand what is happening with our data if you are having some outliers available? And these are supposed to be the outliers. So we are having, so this point, let's say this point is usually unusual x coordinate. So this is unusual x coordinate because we are having some points available till now. So these are not having y coordinate. So we are considering only the x coordinate. So this point A has some unusual x coordinate from the rest of our observation. So our rest of observation are just limited to up to this x coordinate. Now we are having this A point. So we are having much far values available here. So we can suppose that these are the outliers. So we are having two different types of outliers available. First is the leverage point, and second one is the influential points. So what is the leverage point? So if we are having unusual x coordinate available here, so this is my unusual x coordinate available with the rest of points. So we can say that this A is supposed to be a leverage point for our data, because this A is the x coordinate of this particular A is too much greater than the other coordinates of other x coordinates of your data. Fine. So if you are having outliers in the x direction, so we can say that this is your leverage point. And when we are trying to fit this line, this your particular point A lies on that particular point. So if you are having a leverage point, so this your leverage point changes your data. So this leverage point is again your outlier, and this leverage point usually lies on your new fitted line because it affects your overall data. Fine. So this is my leverage point. Then when again I am going for the influential point. So this B is my again an influential point, or we can say that this is an outlier. So we are having two different types of outlier. First is leverage point. So if you are having unusual x coordinate, so this unusual x coordinate is supposed to be a leverage point, and this B. So what is this B? So this B. So this B has moderately unusual x coordinate. Moderately, I am again saying this is having a moderately unusual x coordinate, and y value is usually unusual. So we are having moderately unusual x point and unusual y values, then we can say that this is my inflation point. So this inflation point doesn't lies on your particular line. So we can say that we are having two different types of outliers available. First is your influential point, and second one is your leverage point. So if you are having a problem in this, you can ask me, otherwise I will continue this on my next lecture. So how will I calculate this residuals, and how will plot this residual, and how will I calculate this leverage points in the next class. So again, if you are having some questions, then you can ask me.